Hey everyone, you are here. It is the live magic Q&A with me, Madam Pamita, and my very, very special guest, the Bronx Witch, Aly Kravitz. We have her here today. So let me tell you what this is all about. If you haven't been here before and you don't know what this is a free live Q&A tea party where you get together with me, Madam Pamita. We meet every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountains, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It is a live Zoom meeting. So if you are catching this on YouTube, why aren't you here with us? You could be joining us. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And the way to get in is to go to spellsquad.com, sign up to be in the Spell Squad because this is our clubhouse and you got to be in the club to get in, but it doesn't cost anything to get in, and you get the code to get in and you can join us here live. Ask your questions about magic, divination, spiritualism, law of attraction, whatever, and you can get those questions answered. Hey, and hang out with us and have fun and meet new people. It's amazing. If you've just stumbled upon this and you are finding this on YouTube and you're wondering who the heck is this lady with the purple hair, I am Madam Pamita. I have a YouTube channel. You can find it at youtube.com/Madam Pamita. I have got tons and tons of free videos, some new ones coming up soon. How to do magical things, all kinds of stuff like that, how to do divination things, tarot, all kinds of good things like that. I also have an Instagram, which you can find also Madam Pamita. I have a podcast called Magic and the Law of Attraction with new episodes, getting ready to do some new episodes with that. So all you podcast people that have been begging me for episodes, they're going to come soon, I promise. I'm also an author. I've got a book called Madam Pamita's Magical Tarot and a new book that's going to be coming out next year called The Candle Magic Book. The Candle Magic Book. That's going to be coming out in Llewellyn next year, probably about this time next year, which is very, very exciting. Finished my final draft of it. Final draft until they do the proofreading part, and that's the really boring part. But got it in the can, ready to go, and I can start doing all my fun things like podcasts and things like that. I also have a store called Parlor of Wonders, and you can find it at parlorofwonders.com. You can also find me at parlorofwonders.com. It's a spiritual supply store. I make candles, spell kits, all kinds of goodies like that, make oils, things like that. There's also a ton of free resources on that site, how-to guides, videos, blog, I don't know, all kinds of things. The podcast episodes, past podcast episodes are up there too. It's a great resource for learning about magic, and you can also book readings with me, sessions with me, spirit guide sessions, past life sessions, and tarot readings with me. My guest this week on the live magic Q&A, because that's what this is all about, is the fabulous Aly Kravitz. She's also known as the Bronx Witch. She's a native New Yorker, born and raised in the Bronx, and she's a solitary eclectic Wiccan. She's a practicing witch, and she's a tarot and pendulum reader. She also has an Etsy store, which we're going to find out a little bit about in a minute. She'll tell you a little bit about her background and where she comes from her spiritual journey. But she is a working witch, and she's also an amazing teacher. She has a YouTube channel called Bronx Witch, all one word. And she also teaches bartending because she has a fabulous, this is how I know her, as Rockstar Bar Girl. And she has a fabulous course that she teaches and classes that she teaches and videos and all kinds of things on that. So Aly, I'm going to bring you up, bring up your sound. Hold on a second. There we go. Sure. Aly, I'm going to bring you here so they can see you. Hi. All your fabulousness. There
Hello.
You are. You got your tea. You've got special tea too. Yours is not run-of-the-mill tea. Tell me a little bit about that tea, or tell them a little bit about it.
This is one of my loose tea blends. Hi, everyone. This is one of my loose tea blends called the Tea of Venus. It's got 5 different herbs in it, and each of the herbs connect with feminine energy and either the goddess Venus or the planet Venus. And I created it some years ago when I was having hormonal issues around my moon time. So it's designed to help sort of balance and smooth out those hormones. And then inside of it, I have a little bit of blue cohosh tincture, which is an herbal extract. And blue cohosh root is really good for regulating your menstrual time and is a natural uterine detoxifier. So I usually mix the two together when it's my moon time.
Oh my gosh, that is an amazing tea. And you make super, super magical
Yes,
teas and all kinds of things. What else do you have? Like, I know you have an Etsy site. I didn't
I
even
do.
get to the whole thing of your background, but let's talk about the Etsy site and then we'll go back and talk a little bit more about you. So tell them about what you sell up on Etsy.
Yeah, sure. So my Etsy page is brand new, but pretty much everything in it is old for me
Mhm.
because they're all things that I've been making for myself over the years. And then just recently decided, I'm sorry if you can hear the sirens. I always tell people in my videos, I live in the hood, so we have a lot of that. There's always the sounds of New York. Someone said, yeah, exactly. So if you've never been here, that's what it sounds like. But all the things on my page are things that I've made for myself and my friends and my family over the years, just to sort of address, you know, everyday issues and everyday things that you might want to use magic for. And then recently, someone said, hey, can I buy that from you? And I thought maybe other people might want to do that too. So the Bronx Witch Bodega was born on Samhain this year. And I sell loose tea blends, ritual bath salts, mini custom spell candles, and then large custom spell candles to order, as well as blessed and enchanted crystals, if you are someone who connects with crystal energies. So
I love
you can
that.
also book my readings on there as well. Or you can just shoot me an email, or if you need custom spell work. So it's just sort of it's basically the space you see behind me, but now it's online.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So tell us, everybody, a little bit about your path in terms of how did you come to be a witch? How did you get to that, you know, pathway? I mean, I think it's a really
Yeah.
interesting story. That's why I'm asking it, because, you know, everybody's got a story, but yours is a cool one. So you want to tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I do have a video also on my YouTube, Bronx Witch, in case any of you want the like really long and drawn out version. But the short version is basically like a lot of little Black girls in the US. I grew up in a really Christian household. My family is from South Carolina. So they're sort of typical Christian Southern folk. And I was just one of those kids that really enjoyed church. I loved church, which is like weird. Kids usually complain about it, but I really loved church, and I loved community and the songs and the ceremony of it. But the actual teachings of Christianity, even from a very young age, didn't really make the most sense for me. And what I felt like I understood, I mean, what do you know as a kid, but like I felt like I knew some things, and they didn't really connect with what I thought was kind of happening in the world that's bigger than us and outside of us. And I discovered witchcraft by a little TV show called Charmed. So if you've never seen it, you're missing out. But I loved that show, and it was very eye-opening for me because I had always been taught that witches and witchcraft was, you know, evil and the devil and not acceptable. And here were three really fabulous young women using witchcraft to save people and to heal people and to bring good into the world. And I thought, wait a minute, this isn't really what I was taught, which led me to research. I'm a sort of nerdy folk like that. I love books and I love reading and research. And that led me to do more research. And I discovered Wicca in that process. And the more I learned, the more I felt like, yes, that is what I already think. That's amazing. There are people out there that already believe this and already have these interests and this idea of the universe and deity and how we're all connected. And that was when I was 12. I attempted to start a coven in my middle school, which was a Catholic school, and that did not go over very well with Brother Brian. He was not pleased. So my coven was short-lived. I think we made it to 3 meetings, and then that was shut down. But that just continued as a path for me, and I've been practicing as a solitary in the Bronx ever since then, but using the beautiful internet to kind of connect and commune with other witches all over the world. So the internet is sort of my coven now. So that brings me to here.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that start. You know, it's like such an interesting thing about what you said there, which is, I think, as we are, I think a lot of people's experience is that you are in, maybe you're brought up in a certain way or have a certain belief around you, but you're kind of something, if you listen to that intuition inside, something is telling you is, this isn't really quite fitting for me. And then you find the thing that fits for you, and you're like, there's a recognition or a realization in almost like your gut. I always point to like this area between like the heart and the solar plexus. It's a feeling right there. It feels like that's where it comes in, which is, it feels right to you. You get a yes to it. It makes sense to you. And when you have that recognition, you're like, that's my path. So it's like, it could be for one person, it could be Christianity. For another person, it could be Judaism. Another person, it could be Islam. Another person, it can be Wicca. Another person, it can be spiritualism, or it could be atheism, you know, but it's what makes sense to you and what your intuition, your core center, I feel like. And I
always, like, when I talk to people about it, I always like to point out to them that, you know, Wicca is a religion, but there are plenty of spiritual paths that exist outside of any type of structured, organized religion. And you don't have to be a part of, I think there's kind of a pressure to label yourself and be a part of a religious order or group that already exists. And I like to remind people that that's not necessary. I just happen to be one of those people that really feel at home within a community and a sort of set body of practices that have been practiced by others that have come before me. That just always makes me feel really connected to the rest of the universe and through time and space, and knowing that hundreds, even thousands of years ago, people were perhaps saying the same chants or working with the same herbs or meditating with the same crystals. That is rooting for me and grounding for me, but you don't need to have any type of a religious label or do things according to any type of religious structure to get that same feeling of like connectedness. It just does it for me, but you don't need that at all. You know, I try to remind people of that, especially people who are interested in witchcraft, who, you know, right out the gate are kind of worried with like, well, what am I? Am I a voodoo practitioner? Am I a hoodoo practitioner? Am I a sensory? And it's like, don't worry about that so much. You don't have to label yourself really in any way until you get that in the gut feeling of, these are my people, these are my practices, this is where I want to be. Otherwise, just forge ahead, create your own path until you feel otherwise, if you ever feel otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, and I also think that brings up a really great point, which is that witchcraft is a really integral part of Wicca, but Wicca is not the only witchcraft that there is, or the only way to practice witchcraft. Sometimes people have that misconception that you have to be a Wiccan to practice witchcraft. Witchcraft is a huge part of being a Wiccan, but it is not the only faith or spiritual path. Like, I know Christian witches that do witchcraft. I know, you know, Jewish witches. I know you name it. I mean, you name it. Or even atheists that practice witchcraft. Witchcraft is an activity. It's doing spell work. Spell work is an activity, and you can put it into any framework that you want. Right. Which is an interesting idea. I think people think that if you're a witch, you're a Wiccan, and yes, there's a huge connection there with that. That's a huge part of a Wiccan practice, but it is not the only path. There's plenty of spiritual paths, including no spiritual path, and you can still practice doing spells, moving energy, and doing whatever you want to do in that realm without having that necessarily to follow a certain religion to do that. So I think that important.
I think that's a common misconception, that that the two are like integral, that they have to go together. I often tell people that witchcraft is like yoga. You know, it's a practice that anyone can do. You could be a yogi and devote your entire life and study to the history and the sort of spiritual aspects of yoga, or you could just wake up on Tuesdays and do a downward dog. And that's what witchcraft is like. You can come at it from all different levels of interest and sort of like the spiritual connections. It's really just a practice. And we do a lot of witchcraft in like secular life that we don't ever realize. If you've ever made a wish over a birthday cake with candles and then blown it out to make the wish come true, or if you've ever asked for something as a shooting star went by, sorry to tell you, but you've been practicing witchcraft.
That's low key. That's practicing low key witchcraft right there.
It sure is.
Yeah, you know, I have said, because I was raised Catholic, and I say my first candle spells I did in my Catholic church as a kid. What do you
The witchiest of Christians. The witchiest of Christians.
You know, I said, like, I would do, like, my older sister would take me to a church and she'd say, okay, let's put a quarter in the coin box and you can make a wish and light a candle. That's doing a spell. In case you didn't know, that is doing a spell right there.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like a prosperity spell I did like the other day.
So, and I still to this day will go, even though I don't count myself as a Catholic. I mean, I came up from that upbringing. I'll go in any church anywhere and I will light a candle because I will do my candle magic everywhere, including in Catholic church. So,
yes.
So anyway, well, we're going to have some exciting things coming up. We're going to have, you're going to be doing a reading at the end of our time together here today, a little mini tarot reading. So what would you like the people to put up on the screen if they are interested in getting that mini tarot reading?
So I always love the little witch emoji, the little old lady. She's so cute. I use her a lot. So if you would like to be in the running for getting a reading, then go ahead and just comment with the witchy emoji, or if you don't have access to emojis, you can just type the word witch. And
then that will put you in the contest to get the reading at the end, so that Aly will read for you. The Bronx Witch will read for you. Oh my gosh. At this time I call you the Bronx Witch, you know?
Sure.
So then, and then you're also going to talk about on your Etsy store. We can talk about it now. There's a special thing going on in your Etsy store, and you also have a special thing for the Spell Squad. So we're going to talk about it now, and then we'll jump into the questions, and then you'll remind us at the end. Okay. So what's going on with your Etsy store? First of all, where can they find your Etsy store?
So you can go to etsy.com/shop/Bronx Witch Bodega, or you can just go to Etsy and type in the search bar Bronx Witch Bodega. There's also a link to it on my Instagram profile. So if you follow me on Instagram at Bronx Witch, you can just click on the link and there's a button there that says Shop the Bronx Witch Bodega. The sale that's going on right now is for Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday. So it goes all the way through to the end of Monday, and the entire shop is 15% off. You don't need a code for that or anything. Everything is already marked down. And this includes custom spell candles and readings from me. So absolutely everything that's available on the shop is on sale. And that will end at the end of Monday. But I thought it would be nice to have a special sale for all the Spell Squad members. So starting Tuesday, I guess it'd be like midnight Monday or Tuesday, however you think about it. You just can go to the shop and enter in Spell Squad 15, and you'll still get to take 15% off of anything in the shop. And I'm going to keep that sale running all the way through Yule, which is December 20th this year. So just for the Spell Squads.
So Spell Squad 15, because you dropped out a little bit at the end. Spell Squad 15 will get you the discount through Yule. So that's awesome. That is super, super cool. And so I put it for you guys that are here in the chat, I put in the link, and then I also put that Spell Squad 15, but for you guys that are watching this on YouTube, you can just go ahead. I'll put it in the comments. I'll put the link in the description. And so you can find that link there, and that code will be, of course, there too as well. So we got some people that want to be getting readings, but we also got some questions. So let's get to the questions. And then we will do that reading at the end. So if you want to be in the reading, if you'd like to have a reading, put the word witch or put the witch emoji, and we'll get you in that drawing for the reading at the end of our session today. All right, so Natalie has a question. I'm looking for a unique New Year's abundance spell since it's kicking off a new decade. Any advice? Candle spells are preferred. Do you have a favorite candle or an idea for a candle spell that you'd like to do for a decade of prosperity and abundance? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that come to mind. I don't know if this person has access to a botanica or any type of metaphysical shop that sells candles, but they often sell these layered colored candles that have different rings of color on them. I like to use those candles for anything that has to do with the passing of time, whether it's weeks or months or years, because our lives kind of flow that way. They don't stay the same way as the year goes through. So I really like working with candles that have multiple colors for passing of time. And then what I would do is I would take like a pencil or a bamboo skewer, and I would poke 5 holes in the top of the candle in the shape of a pentagram. And I would put a prosperity drawing oil into each of those 5 holes. So you could use a prosperity oil. I believe Madam Pamita makes some prosperity oils on her website. So you can grab one of her fantastic oils, or you can grab bayberry oil. Bayberry is a great oil or incense for prosperity work. They say a bayberry candle burned to the socket brings luck to the home and gold to the pocket.
Yeah.
So that's an old folky sayings. Bayberry is known for prosperity, but also just anything in the mint family is really great for prosperity. So if you're having difficulty getting your hands on an oil or making an oil, then you can just literally grab some mint leaf. You can grab it, some dried mint leaf, or you can open up a mint tea bag. If you don't have an herbiary or somewhere where you can get herbs, you can just grab some mint from the store or some tea from the store, open up the bag, and just sprinkle it into the 5 holes that you made. And I would pray over that candle, and then I would light that candle on New Year's Eve and allow it to burn through completely if you can. If you can't, if you're leaving the house or you're going to bed, don't leave it lit. Snuff it out and then re-pray over it and relight it until it's done. And if you have any experience with reading candle glass, the way that candle burns can also give you some insight as to how your year might be going and what you might want to look out for as the year goes on. So I would do something like that.
I love that. You know, you brought up something really interesting, which is the bayberry aspect. You know, this is something I did a whole ton of research for the candle book that is coming out. And, you know, looked into like different kinds of waxes and things like that. Bayberry wax is a really beautiful natural wax, and it's a great wax to use for spells. Now, bayberry candle, it's interesting because a lot of times we'll see a bayberry candle. It may or may not be made with bayberry wax. So you have to really kind of hunt for a bayberry wax candle. They're not like common. I mean, not even beeswax candles are even more common than that. So if you can find an actual bayberry candle, I don't sell them because I don't have to deal with bayberry wax. I do beeswax, but they're out there. And if you can find one, that is a really powerful tool for bringing in prosperity. And so that can be even another kind of way to approach this, since that bayberry thing you brought up. You know,
I feel like if someone's really crafty and is interested in potentially making their own candle, which if this is something for the new year and it's for a whole year, then put as much energy into it as you can. So maybe making the candle yourself is fine. I would get beeswax wax, melt it down, and you can add some drops of bayberry oil to the wax and make your own. It won't be bayberry wax specifically, but it would be your own bayberry candle with all natural ingredients that, you know, are connecting to your energy because you made it and you've been putting your intention into the whole process.
Oh my gosh, that would be an amazing, amazing spell to do. I mean, one of the things that I've taught live candle magic classes and, you know, workshops and things like that. And one of the things that we do is we dip a candle. You know, you have to use a double boiler. So you have a pot of water, and then you have a can of wax, usually like a tomato juice can. And when you make that candle, so you get the wick, you have to have a wick that's not too thick. And you have to get, if you're doing beeswax, you use a square braided wick. I mean, there's all these details into making a candle. It's not quite as easy as it sort of seems like it would be. And you see a lot of information out there on making candles. And it's like they don't go into the details of like, oh, you know, you could start with a super thick wick, but if you're making a skinny little candle, that's not a good thing. But anyway, so get the right size wick. You want a wick that's the right size for the size of the candle you're going to make, but you can dip that candle. And like Aly was saying, you can actually put your intention in each one of those dips. And then when we've had those live workshops where we've done candle making, we go around in this way where we dip in very quickly, because if you leave it in too long, you're going to melt off everything that you've previously built up. So you dip it in super quickly, and then you do this like kind of meditative walk, and then you come back around the table again and you dip it again, and then you make the meditative walk. But each time you dip it, you could be saying your affirmation, I am prosperous, or I am abundant, or whatever it is, so that you actually create the candle with that intention totally infused in that candle. It's not a candle that's made in a factory. It's not even made by us here in our little factory where we're putting a lot of good intention in it, but it's not personalized intention because we don't know what your personal intention is. But when you do that, you can make this a really, really amazing, amazing candle. So I think bayberry wax would be something really beautiful and quite magical to work with. You could make your own candle if you wanted to do that. She brought up this like amazing thing too, which is that you don't have to go crazy. Like if you can't find the herbs, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, there's plenty of herbs that you can get off the grocery shelf that you can use for a prosperity spell. Mint is great. Chamomile's great. And you can use a chamomile tea bag. You can use basil, dried basil. You can use cinnamon. You can use ginger. All of those things are good for heating up and positive heating up of an energy of abundance. And allspice is another one. I mean, there's plenty of things that you can just get off the shelf. Nutmeg is also great. I mean, there's a lot of prosperity herbs that we use in our cooking, and you can use those. Probably find them in your, you know, in your kitchen cabinet right now and do that on the fly. But if you're going to do a really special spell for, you know, the beginning of a decade, you may want to be more intentional about that. You may want to think about what you're going to do and do it in a really big and special way. So those are all lovely things. You can get more esoteric. I mean, there's definitely more esoteric herbs, like blue flag root is an amazing one for prosperity. Irish moss is a great one for prosperity, particularly if you have a business. You can get bayberry, and that's another herb that you can get. I mean, there's all kinds of herbs that you can use. So if you want to know like what herbs to get, there are books out there. You know, there's definitely Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. There's also the Hoodoo Herb and Root Magic, which is great. But if you are like, I want to know right now, you can go on my website and you can look up the herbs by category. So you can look up prosperity herbs, and it will show you all the prosperity herbs, and then you can look at them individually and see sort of the descriptions of them. So there's all kinds of workarounds for that.
Yeah. I definitely recommend grabbing Cunningham's book. If herbs for magic is something that you're interested in. It gives very brief overviews of the medicinal and the botanical properties of each of the herbs. Most importantly, it tells you whether or not something's poisonous, if you can consume it, if it's safe to go on your skin, if you should avoid it if you are breastfeeding or if you have diabetes. So that's super important to know. But then it gives you all of this magical folklore and stories of how people have used that herb in magical ways. So I rely on that heavily when I'm just trying to figure out what herb would be great for a magical purpose. So if you haven't gotten that book, you know, grab it. It's like always on sale on Amazon.
Yeah, it's such a great book. And then the real valuable part of that book is that you can go in the back. I think I had that book for 10 years before I realized that in the back, like, hey, ding dong, you can go in talking about myself, go in the back of the book, and they list the different sort of magical purposes. And then they list all the, like, you can look up prosperity and see a huge list of all the herbs that you can use for prosperity that he has listed. Now, mind you, this is something I always like to tell people too. When you're working with herbs magically, these books have maybe 200, 300 herbs in them, maybe. Every plant has a magical purpose. That means you get to discover there's 300,000 different species out there. So just this little narrow, tiny percentage that's listed in a magical book doesn't mean that these are magical and all other plants are not magical. I think you, as a Wiccan and probably a nature witch, even out in the city, you can find plants everywhere. Spend time with those plants, talk to the plants, listen to the plants, find out what they have to tell you about what they can do for you magically. And then listen to that, learn about that. And even and identify it. I mean, you don't want to be picking poison ivy or anything like that.
Right.
It definitely has a magical purpose, but maybe not one you want to pick on or bring into your life. But you can look at these herbs and these plants and discern, even if they are not something that is designated as magical, it has a magical purpose, right? It has a magical purpose. And how can we use the trees, the flowers, the all of these plants that are out there? They're all magical. Just because it's not listed in a book doesn't mean it's not magical. I think that's a very, very important thing.
If you're doing any wild harvesting or wild crafting, I just recommend that you pick yourself up a local field guide. No matter where you are in the world, somebody has taken the time to record the natural foliage and herbs and things that grow in your area, and will tell you whether or not they're poisonous, whether or not they're endangered, if they're safe to pick, etc. Just so that you don't wake up one day covered in hives or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or poison yourself. Yeah,
right.
That's not a good witch move, to poison yourself.
Not very magical to be poisoned.
No. All right, great. So let's look at our next question. Dee has a question. What spell would you recommend for a divorce court case, to go in your favor?
Yeah. Did they say what spell or what kind of candle?
Anything, any kind of spell.
Okay.
It's a spell. What spell would you recommend for a court case outcome in your favor? Divorce.
So I do a lot of candle magic. So a lot of the spell recommendations that I would give typically involve lighting a candle, just because I feel like it's so powerful. Everybody kind of connects to the power of a flame. But I would get yourself a brown candle. Brown is a very earthy color. Correspondence. It connects with grounding and with legal matters and matters of justice. And I would carve into that candle, so not a glass candle, but like a freestanding candle that you can carve into. And I would carve in the word justice, going from the top to the bottom. We want justice to come to us. And then I would place that candle in a candle holder and set it on top of the Justice Tarot card, facing upwards. I use my tarot cards in spell work quite a bit. I would place it right on top of that sometime before you're expecting an adjudication of the case or an actual trial date or something of that nature. You can get court case oil. That actually exists. So you can find that at your local botanica or spiritual shop as well. But if you're not able to get in touch, get access to something like that, I actually really like to use avocado oil. So if you can just go to your supermarket and get avocado oil to coat the candle after you've engraved it, and then light it. And avocados are really great for bringing things to be. If you look at an avocado, it kind of looks like a little womb, things growing. And so we want justice to grow in our favor and things to be birthed in our favor. So you can coat it with that. Or you could use like rose oil, something that you connect with on a level of attraction. So we want to attract justice to us. We want people involved in the case, whether it's the judge or the jury or the lawyers, to be attracted to us in a positive way, to want to help us, to want to be on our side. So either a growth oil or an attraction oil to coat a brown candle carved with the word justice and then set on top of the justice card.
I love that. You know, if you don't, here's a little tip too. If you don't have a tarot deck or you don't want to ruin your tarot deck, you can always print out a picture from the internet of the justice card. You could do tarot justice card and print it out. And then you just, if the wax gets on it, it won't matter. You won't wreck your deck. Other thing I would add to it too, is if you have, if it's dependent on someone, like a judge, and you know who the judge is, if you can get their picture, sometimes you can find pictures on the internet, or their name, or a document that their name is on, and a copy of that document. Like you could take a copy of the, I don't know if the judge shows up on a, I don't know in your state how it works, but you could take something that has the judge, if the judge is deciding this. And I would just even sweeten that judge toward you. Put a little sugar in that picture, if you have a picture or their name or something like that, and then fold it up, fold it towards you, like that sweetening coming to you, and fold it up in a little packet and either put it beneath or next to your working there, just to make sure you get that little bit of edge that the judge feels sorry for you and wants to give you that extra bit of money, or, you know, the custody of the children or whatever it is that you're aiming for. You could also do a little petition paper if you don't have any, you know, the judge's name, or even if you don't know the judge's name, you could do a petition paper where you write the judge's name, or write the judge on my divorce case, those words. If you don't know their name, you could write it 3 times, turn that paper 90 degrees, and then write your name 3 times over it. So you're making like, it's almost like a tic-tac-toe grid, but with their name underneath and your name on top. And then you could put that also underneath your, with that justice card, just to get a little more influence over that judge, a little more of that judge favoring you, you know, like if they're on the fence, that they favor you a little bit more.
And if you're wondering of, because oftentimes people do spell work or candle work as a part of like a bigger ritual or something like that. If you're doing that, I would recommend burning tobacco as your incense. Tobacco is a great cleansing energy, but it's specifically good for matters of business. And, you know, just imagine an old school courtroom with everyone smoking on their cigar. So maybe not tobacco from a cigarette. There are a lot of chemicals and stuff in that. But if you can get a cigar or some, you know, all natural loose tobacco, I would burn that as my incense, to clear the energies in a way that's really specific to a legal proceeding or something happening in a courtroom.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. And it's also getting the, you know, burning tobacco is getting your spirit guides. They're helping you with all of that too, you know, so you can get loose, like American Spirit has no chemicals in it. You can get that loose tobacco. American Spirit tobacco is a great one. And burn on a charcoal, you know, and do that as well. I think that would be good. Put your, even, I mean, we can go to town on this. You could take your court documents, like your divorce papers, and put them through that smoke and really like get that going too. I mean, that would be a lovely thing to do.
Yes.
So Sammy has a question. Do you have any suggestions on how to improve on feelings of low energy and motivation?
Yeah. So, I don't know if you're specifically looking for spell work to do that. When I think about low energy, the first thing I think of is the physical body and doing things with ourselves physically. So something that I have recently been trying out and been really enjoying is maca root. So maca root is something that, trying to recall if it was the Ecuadorians or the Peruvians, I believe it was the Ecuadorians, but it's an incredibly high source of protein. And they would eat this root as they were working in the fields and working up in the mountains where air quality can be really thin and it can be hard to stay energized. So you can go to your health food store or online and you can order maca root powder supplements or pills. You can get the maca root, but it is a little bit pricey, just so that you know. But so the pills are usually a little bit cheaper as it's the powdered form. But either way, maca root is really great for boosting your physical energy. Another thing on the physical side is your iron levels. When we are low in iron, we experience fatigue. So if you've also noticed that maybe your hands and feet get cold fairly easily, or if you stand up really quickly, you tend to feel lightheaded, you might be low in iron. And I'd recommend looking into yellow dock root. You can make it into a tea or you can make it into a tincture. And yellow dock is really great for allowing your liver to give up the iron that it's storing inside of it, but also to help your body to absorb iron out of the food that you are eating. So I gave up meat quite some time ago, and I already have had low iron issues. So not eating red meat meant I had to really figure out a way to make sure I was getting enough iron to fight that feeling of tiredness. So maca root and yellow dock root I would look into.
That's great. And they can use that. I mean, definitely take it in their body, but they could also do it alongside a spell too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could carry it in a bag as well, or put it on a candle. I think that's really an interesting kind of working to do, is to imbibe something or to take something in, but also work with it in different ways.
Yeah, I love making oils for that purpose. Yeah. Because if your carrier oil is something edible, then you can coat your candles with it and also anoint yourself with it. So you could take some yellow dock root and sit it in some grapeseed or some extra virgin olive oil for 6 to 8 weeks in a cool, dark space. And now you've got a yellow dock infused oil. And so you can anoint yourself for the spiritual properties of that energy, or you could coat a candle with it, or you could drizzle it on a salad and eat it.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I think of when I think of magical and motivation and energy is element of fire. And so I would bring in some fire magic, whether you want to sit and do with a candle, do some candle meditation or do a candle spell. I would say working with an orange candle to open up that kind of open up that road of opportunity. Orange is is like motivation, movement, opportunity, and all of that. So you could work with an orange candle and do, using the herbs that Aly said, or cinnamon and ginger are also really easy to get and very good in terms of energizing and making things move. And so maybe making a really yummy ginger tea with maybe some yellow dock in it. You could do all kinds of things like that. So I think fire magic would be, if you were going to do spell work, fire magic would be really good for motivation and optimism and all of those things that we associate with fire, which is energy and motivation for sure. All right, June, we got June. And then by the way, you guys, Aly's going to do a reading in a minute. So if you want to be in on the opportunity to have a reading, type the word witch, use the witch emoji in the chat, and then I'm going to count them up while she's answering this question from June. What do you recommend doing with petition papers and spell remains after a spell has been successful? What do you do with your petition paper and spell remains?
Let me see if I can't reach it, but there's a pot. So I live in the city, right? So this is an issue that a lot of people have when they're in an urban environment. because a lot of spells will direct you to go out into the woods to dispose of something or bury something, and you might not be able to always do that. So I actually have a little pot on my windowsill with a little bit of soil in it. So if there's a petition paper or a candle remain or spell remains that for some reason I want to bury or keep around, then they just go into that pot. You know, so that the police don't pull me over as I'm like scooping holes in like the park down the street. Like, what are you doing, lady? So I do that a lot. But my general rule of thumb is it depends on whether or not you are doing your spell to draw things to you or to get rid of something. If you're trying to get rid of something, then I would definitely recommend that you get rid of the remnants of your petition paper or the remnants of your spell candle or whatever it was you were working with as far away from you as possible. So let's say you were trying to get rid of an abusive ex-boyfriend. I wouldn't leave my spell remains like in my home garbage or you know, somewhere in my home space. Instead, I would travel away from my home quite a distance and either bury it or throw it out in the trash there. I don't think there's anything wrong with just throwing it in the trash. I kind of prefer that, especially if whatever you're getting rid of isn't environmentally friendly. If you're getting rid of scraps or something, plastic, things like that, just go to the next town over and throw it in the trash somewhere and get rid of it. If you're doing work to draw something to you, then you might want to do what I do and just keep it in a pot in your home so that that energy is with you. Or you might want to bury it nearby. So if you do have access to a backyard or front yard or small garden or something that is near you and it's environmentally safe, then bury it there on your property or something like that. Something like a protection petition paper, spell candle remnants, etc. I would bury that, but I would bury it on my property. I want to keep that energy. I want to build a barrier close to me. But if I were trying to banish a specific thing that was making me feel unsafe or in danger, then I would take that off of my property and get rid of it.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, too, here's the other thing. It's like with petition papers in particular, you can burn a petition paper to ash and then scatter that ash in the wind. That's one way to like put it out there or get rid of it. And like Aly said, is that you can take it far away from you if you're trying to get rid of it, or close to you, and even do that work close to you if you're trying to keep something. One of the things I say too is like you can rework your stuff too. So let's say you're doing a love spell to bring a new fabulous new romance into your life. You can make a little talisman with the remains and then keep that on your altar, or you can pack up everything and put it beneath your mattress to, you know, keep that there until you get the result that you want. So just because you finish the spell work, if you're working and aiming toward a goal, you might want to keep that, and it's something that you want to bring to you. You might want to keep those remains on hand until you get the result that you want. So that's another way to do it. You know, you can bury it, or that's one way to keep it, but not have it necessarily cluttering up your house. But if you are living in an apartment or something like that, you can wrap it up in a piece of cloth or in a brown paper bag or something like that, and then just tuck it away somewhere. If it's a love spell, tuck it in your bedroom. If it's a prosperity spell, put it in your kitchen, you know, those kinds of things. So.
All right. I would definitely carry it on me, especially people ask a lot about like spell work to do well on a test or to smooth, you know, anxiety at work or things like that. You can definitely, stuff like that you can carry with you, because the working that you're trying to do is something that you want to come to be outside of your home. Or even a love attraction where you want the people that you interact with to look on you in a desirable way, to see you in a certain light. Those are definitely things that I would carry with me.
Love it. I love it. All right. We're ready to do our big drawing. You have a choice from 1 to 6. Pick a number from 1 to 6 and we'll see who our lucky person is.
My magic number is 5.
Your magic number, that's my magic number too. I love
Really?
that. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ray A. Ray A. I'm gonna bring you up, Ray. There you are. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Madam.
You're so excited. You get a reading with Aly.
I know. Oh, am I there?
Yes, we can hear you. So we can hear you. So Aly might have a question for you, or go ahead, take it away.
Hi, Ray. How are you?
I'm good.
So do you have a specific question that you would like to ask the cards?
It's just about for the new year, what's gonna be my love life and career. Just about it.
Okay, so we're asking for love for the new year. Okay. Look at that. All right. Okay, Ray, I'm going to pull 3 cards for you, but I'm going to excite you a little bit because a card already jumped out for you.
Okay.
Whenever a card jumps out for me, I use that as a clarifying card. And Madam Pamita, before I start, am I supposed to be able to see Ray or just hear her?
Just hear her.
Just hear her. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the card, oh, hi, Ray.
Hi.
Hi. So the card that jumped out is, look at that. All right. So before you even asked me, we got the 2 of Cups, which is a card that's all about connections, compassion, balance, and relationships. So I definitely, being that it's in the upright, already think that we're off to a good start in that regard.
Okay.
So let's see specifically what we have here. Okay. So I'm going to start at the top with the reversed Hermit, if you can see that. And when I see that card, that kind of tells me that there is some reclusivity, some introversion on your part, okay? So if we stay at home, if we stay into ourselves, if we don't open up to the world and share ourselves with others, then we might have some struggles in terms of finding love, particularly if it's romantic love that we're looking for, okay? So I encourage you to step out a little bit more. Now, the Hermit in reverse, when we are introverted like that, it's often a good thing in terms of being true to ourselves. This is a card of looking inward for spiritual direction. The Hermit relates to the sign of Virgo, not needing other people in order to complete us. And so that's great that you have that self-confidence and that strength within you, that you don't necessarily need a partner in order to feel whole and to feel like, you know, you're living your purpose and you are a complete individual. But the downside of being so into ourselves is that when we do decide that we want to have an interaction with another person, we're at home. So who's going to find us, right? So I definitely just encourage you in 2020 to try to go out there more, and don't worry that you are sacrificing your own integrity, sacrificing your own self-respect, sacrificing the projects that you're working on or anything that you're interested in by going out. Live a little. Get out there. Expose yourself a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Because what we see as a result of that is the Tower, which is often a scary card, but I love seeing this card in the upright because this is all about really dramatic changes in our life. And Spirit is telling you to go ahead and shake shit up. All right. Do things totally differently than the way you normally would. Color your hair, dress a little bit differently, get a new group of friends, go to a bar or a club you've never been to before. It's okay. Try something really, really different, because when we do that, we expose ourselves to a whole new group of people and we show different sides of ourselves that the people who already know us might not have known were there. So if there's somebody who's already around you that might have romantic interest in you, they're going to be really excited to see this new you and see you shake it up a little bit. Okay, so go out on a limb. And then we have the reversed Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Swords is a woman of rationale and reason and logic, and in the reverse, it's just sort of telling me that there might be some concerns on your part that if you go out on a limb and try something really different, that you might be sacrificing that part of you. But what the Two of Cups is telling me is that you don't have to worry about this so much. This is actually going to bring you closer to where it is you want to be. So if we dwell too much in the rational, logical, measured part of our mind, it causes us not to get in touch with the emotional part of ourselves, the intuitive parts of ourselves. And that part of ourselves deserves just as much attention as the rational, logical, measured part of ourselves, okay? So don't be afraid to shake it up and get in touch with that emotional part of yourself. I think if you do, what I'm seeing by the fact that this is the card that jumped out at us, is that there's definitely a partnership for you in 2020. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you have to follow me on Instagram and let me know when you meet your guy or girl of choice that this Two of Cups is talking about.
That's amazing. How can they find you on all the places? All the places. That's
all the places. Yeah. So on Instagram, I am at Bronx Witch. And on YouTube, I am also Bronx Witch, no space. I think somebody has Bronx Space Witch. So Bronx Witch, no space. And I am on Facebook as The Bronx Witch. And then again, my Etsy shop is etsy.com/shop/Bronx Witch Bodega, or you can just type in Bronx Witch Bodega in the search bar. And we didn't talk about it, but I am a bartender and a bar instructor. So if any of you are interested in learning how to bartend, I'm on all the platforms as Rockstar Bar Girl.
Yeah, you have an amazing thing. I got it, even though I'm not a bartender. I'm not planning on changing careers anytime soon, but I'm fascinated with that world of bartending. And, you know, I did go to a bar and have a drink once in a while. And I went to Rockstar Bar Girl and I got your free book. And I learned so much about cocktail making, bartending. It's fascinating. So if you have any interest at all in potentially being a bartender, maybe you're going to get a side gig, or you want to really commit to a career in hospitality, this is a great resource for people. Like, they get this free book when they go to Rockstar Bar Girl and they sign up for your email list, right?
Yes, they do. Yeah. And then my full course includes all of that material, but with instructional videos, and you get a free Rockstar Bar kit, which is a little portable bag with 16 bar tools that I wish I had when I started bartending. Shakers, strainers, jiggers, bar spoons, so that you can practice along right at home and get confident and comfortable before you start interviewing, or even if you just want to bartend at home for your friends, now you'll have a whole set for yourself to get started. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great skill to learn if if they're interested in mixology or anything like that. It's a great skill. When I was a kid, like I'm talking about 20 years old kid, there used to be those ads on TV, like go to bartending school. And I was like, I want to go to bartending school.
Yeah.
but they don't even, what they don't know is, like, your bartending school is super magical, so fun, so cute. You are adorable. I love you. And
thank you. I love you.
I always have that. Before you were, when you just had Rockstar Bar Girl, I was like, oh my God, I love you. I just think you're amazing. And you really are. You are such a delight. You bring so much love, so much light, so much positivity to everything you do. It was just a delight having you here. And I can't believe how bloody fast this hour went.
Right? I could keep talking all day about this stuff.
We're going to have you back again so we can do part 2.
I would love it.
I love it.
I would love it.
And you guys are going to see her because she pops in just to be in the studio. I always call you guys the studio audience. The small squad who's here, you're there. So you can say hi to her next time she pops in. You can say, hey, Bronx Witch, what's up, girl?
Yeah, I tune in every Sunday. I tell my husband, I'm like, shh, it's 8 o'clock. I got to go live. Hold on. So I'm like almost always there. So, but I just wanted to tell you what a wonderful light you are, how amazing you are, your resources as I don't know, I'm 33. Am I young? As a young person, your videos on YouTube, I've binge watched every single one and have learned so much, especially about tarot. I am loving your book. I'm taking it slow and really working with it. And I cannot wait until your Candle Magic book comes out. Congratulations on finishing the manuscript.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. That was like, the second book it's like the second kid. It's a lot easier than the first one to get that one out. But I have to say, I feel like I'm free because I was having to say, I love going out and spending time and doing things with friends. And I couldn't do it because I had to work on the book. So I'd go like, I can't do that. And I really want to do that. And I'm
well, now you can go out for a drink and you know how to order it because you got my book.
I know. Anyway, check her out. You can find her if you look up Bronx Witch. You'll find her all over that place. You can find her on Instagram. That's where we mostly interact, right? Is on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you'll find you on YouTube and also Rockstar Bar Girl. Follow her as Rockstar Bar Girl because you'll be delighted at what she has to teach. I mean, you're just a natural teacher, and I just love that because that's like you're a woman after my own heart. I'm a natural teacher too. So. Yeah. All right, love. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Aly. You are amazing. Thank you so much, Spell Squad members, for being here. I'm in my freezing cold warehouse just to see you guys. I had to come out here, but you are so worth it. I love you guys so much. Love you guys so much. So glad to see you every Sunday. We'll see you next Sunday, and next Sunday, I don't even know who our guest is. Oh my gosh. Next Sunday, our guest is Najah Lightfoot, who's the author of Good Juju. So you do not want to miss that one. She's amazing. I met her at the INATS Expo last summer, and she is a delight. So you'll have to be here for us next week. Anyway, thank you so much, Aly, for being here. You are amazing. I adore you. And I can't
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. And it was so great having you. And I look forward to seeing you online. Guys, don't forget, go to her Etsy shop and use Spell Squad 15 and you'll get that discount all the way through Yule. Thank you so much again. We'll see you next week. See you at the same witch time, same witch channel. And thanks again. We'll see you. Bye, guys.